You're rejecting me because I'm not what you expected, Eliza Chen said quietly, rising from her chair in the sterile interview room. But what you don't know is that I've already solved the problem that's cost your company $50 million this quarter. She placed a single sheet of paper on the table, watching as the interviewer's expression shifted from dismissal to shock. The equation she'd written would save quantum dynamics from bankruptcy, if anyone bothered to read it. 3 hours earlier, Eliza had arrived at the gleaming headquarters of Quantum Dynamics with nothing but her community college degree and 7 years of experience at companies no one had heard of. The receptionist's pitying glance told her everything: she didn't belong here. But Eliza had noticed something in the lobby that no one else had: an error in the company's flagship algorithm displayed proudly on their welcome screen. An error that explained why their revolutionary energy storage system was failing catastrophically in real-world tests. The interview panel had barely looked at her resume before the questions began. "I see you don't have an Ivy League education," said the HR director, not bothering to hide her disdain. "And your experience is unconventional." What they couldn't see was that Eliza had taught herself advanced computational physics while working night shifts at a gas station to support her sick mother. Or that she'd spent years solving problems that qualified engineers had abandoned as impossible. What they saw was a simple woman in an off-the-rack suit who didn't fit their image of brilliance. As Eliza walked toward the exit, clutching her worn leather bag, a commotion erupted behind her. The paper she'd left behind was now in the hands of a tall, imposing man whose entrance had caused the interview panel to stand at attention. "Who wrote this?" demanded CEO Gabriel Mercer, his voice echoing through the suddenly silent room. "Find whoever wrote this equation and bring them to my office immediately." Eliza paused at the door, her heart pounding. Should she identify herself and risk further humiliation, or walk away from what might be her only chance? The equation she'd written wasn't just a solution, it was a complete reimagining of the company's approach. If implemented, it would revolutionize energy storage technology worldwide. But was she brave enough to claim it as her own? "It was me," she said, turning to face the room. The CEO's piercing blue eyes locked with hers, and for a moment, the world seemed to stop. "I wrote it while waiting for my interview. Your algorithm has been approaching the energy transfer problem from the wrong angle entirely." Gabriel Mercer studied her for what felt like an eternity. "My office." "Now," he said finally, his expression unreadable. As Eliza followed him through the building, whispers trailed behind them. No one could believe that this unassuming woman had potentially solved the problem that had stumped their best minds for months. Inside his office, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, Mercer spread her equation across his desk. "Explain this to me," he demanded, not unkindly. "Explain how you saw in minutes what my team of PhDs missed for months." Eliza took a deep breath and began explaining her solution, her voice growing stronger with each word. She pointed out how their approach had been fundamentally flawed, constrained by conventional thinking. "The solution isn't in making your current approach work better," she explained. "It's in completely reimagining the problem." As she spoke, Mercer's expression transformed from skepticism to wonder. When she finished, he asked the question that would change everything: "Why are you really here, Ms. Chen?" "Because I believe energy storage is the key to solving climate change," she answered honestly. "And because I've been solving problems like this my entire life, just without anyone noticing." What happened next stunned everyone at Quantum Dynamics. Instead of offering her the entry-level position she'd applied for, Mercer created a new role, Chief Innovation Officer, reporting directly to him. The HR director who had dismissed her was now reporting to Eliza. But the real shock came when Mercer revealed the company's true situation. They were 3 weeks away from complete collapse, with investors pulling out and a major government contract on the line. "Your solution might save us," he told her, "but implementing it will require convincing the board, the engineering team, and our investors that we should abandon months of work and start over. Can you do that?" Eliza stared at him, realizing the impossible challenge ahead. She wasn't just fighting technical problems but years of corporate politics and egos. Could a woman who'd been rejected for not fitting their mold now lead them to salvation? And why was Gabriel Mercer, notorious for his ruthless business tactics, looking at her with something that seemed remarkably like hope? The board meeting was scheduled for the following morning. Eliza worked through the night, preparing her presentation while Gabriel brought her coffee and occasionally challenged her thinking, pushing her to refine her approach. Something unexpected was developing between them, a connection based on mutual respect and shared passion for solving the impossible. "Why did you really give me this chance?" she asked him as dawn broke over the city. Gabriel's answer was interrupted by his assistant announcing the board's arrival. The moment of truth had come sooner than expected. Eliza would have to convince 12 skeptical executives, all with advanced degrees and decades of experience, to trust her solution. As she walked into the boardroom, Eliza felt every doubt she'd ever had rushing back. The board members barely acknowledged her presence, their attention focused on Gabriel. But when she began speaking, explaining her solution with clarity and conviction, the room gradually fell silent. Even the most skeptical board members leaned forward, captivated by the elegance of her approach. Then came the question she'd been dreading. "This solution is brilliant in theory, but how do we know it will work in practice? We can't afford another failure." Before Eliza could respond, the boardroom door burst open. The head engineer, Dr. Marcus Way, stormed in, his face flushed with anger. "You implemented her changes without authorization," he accused Gabriel. "You risked our entire prototype on an untested theory from an unqualified outsider." The room erupted in chaos. Gabriel had secretly ordered the implementation of Eliza's solution overnight, gambling everything on her being right. If she was wrong, quantum dynamics would collapse by the end of the day, and both their careers would be over. Eliza felt the blood drain from her face as all eyes turned to her. "The test results," Gabriel said quietly, sliding a tablet across the table. "See for yourselves." Silence fell as the board members examined the data. Eliza couldn't bring herself to look, her future hanging in the balance of numbers she couldn't see. Then, one by one, expressions of disbelief spread across the faces around the table. "This can't be right," Dr. Way whispered, his hostility replaced by astonishment. "The efficiency it's beyond anything we thought possible." The prototype wasn't just working, it was performing at 300% of their target efficiency. Eliza's solution hadn't just fixed their problem. It had catapulted their technology years ahead of any competitor. In that moment, quantum dynamics transformed from a failing startup to the most valuable energy technology company in the world. As the board members crowded around her, offering congratulations and asking questions, Eliza caught Gabriel's eye across the room. His smile held something more than professional satisfaction, a connection that had formed through their shared night of work and risk. 6 months later, quantum dynamics' revolutionary energy storage system was being implemented in power grids across 3 continents. Eliza led the innovation team, her approach to problem-solving transforming not just their technology but the company's entire culture. The woman who hadn't been qualified enough for an entry-level position was now featured in Fortune magazine as one of the most influential innovators of the year. But the most unexpected development was her relationship with Gabriel. What had begun as professional respect had deepened into something neither had anticipated. Their shared passion for solving impossible problems had created a bond that transcended the office. "You know," Gabriel said one evening as they watched the sunset from his office, "I never told you why I really gave you that chance that day." Eliza turned to him, curious. "I assumed it was desperation. You needed a miracle." "It was something my father told me before he died," Gabriel replied softly. "He said the most dangerous mistake in business is believing that brilliance looks a certain way or comes from certain places. He said true innovation often comes from those who see the world differently because they've had to navigate it differently." He took her hand. When I saw your equation, I recognized something I'd been missing, not just in the company, but in my life. Eliza's story spread beyond quantum dynamics, inspiring companies worldwide to reconsider how they evaluated talent and innovation. Her journey from rejection to revolution became a testament to looking beyond credentials to recognize true brilliance. As for Eliza and Gabriel, they continued challenging each other, solving problems together, and building a relationship as revolutionary as their technology. The equation that had brought them together had changed more than just energy storage. It had transformed their lives and countless others. If you've ever felt overlooked or underestimated, remember Eliza's story. Sometimes the most powerful solutions come from unexpected places, and the most important equations aren't just the ones that solve technical problems, but the ones that connect us to our purpose and to each other. Like and subscribe for more stories that remind us that brilliance doesn't always look the way we expect, and that sometimes, the most revolutionary ideas come from those we almost turned away. What few people knew was that Eliza's journey to that interview room had been marked by countless rejections. Before quantum dynamics, she had applied to 17 other technology companies, each dismissal cutting deeper than the last. The night before her interview, she had sat at her small kitchen table in her studio apartment, surrounded by past rejection letters, wondering if she should give up her dream entirely. Her mother's medical bills were piling up, and the practical choice would have been to accept a management position at the gas station where she'd worked through college. But something inside her refused to surrender. The media painted Eliza and Gabriel's story as a fairy tale, but the reality was far more complex. Their first months working together were filled with tension as Eliza fought to be taken seriously by the engineering team. Wei, though impressed by her solution, remained skeptical of her leadership. Having one good idea doesn't make you qualified to lead this department, he told her during a particularly heated meeting. Eliza had responded not with anger but with results, staying late every night until she had earned the respect of even her harshest critics. Gabriel had his own battles to fight. The board, while thrilled with the company's turnaround, questioned his judgment in promoting Eliza so quickly. "Your personal feelings are clouding your business decisions," the chairman had warned him. Gabriel had to prove that his faith in Eliza was based on her brilliance, not his growing attraction to her. This meant maintaining professional distance even as they worked closely together, creating a tension between them that was palpable to everyone around them. Their first real breakthrough came 3 months after Eliza joined the company. During a critical investor presentation, the prototype malfunctioned, threatening to derail a $200 million funding round. While the engineering team panicked, Eliza calmly walked onto the stage, opened the device, and made an adjustment that not only fixed the problem but improved its performance. The investors gave a standing ovation, and that night, Gabriel finally admitted to himself what he'd been fighting for months. He was falling in love with her mind first, and then with everything else about her. The world of high-stakes technology wasn't kind to either of them. Competitors spread rumors that Eliza's solution had been stolen, that she was nothing more than Gabriel's latest conquest being used as the face of innovation. These whispers reached Eliza's ears, causing her to withdraw from Gabriel just as they were beginning to explore their feelings for each other. "I can't be the reason people doubt your judgment or my abilities," she told him one evening, creating a distance that left them both miserable. It took a crisis to bring them back together. 6 weeks before their technology was scheduled to be implemented in its first major city grid, a catastrophic flaw was discovered in the scaling process. The entire project was at risk, and the board was considering scrapping Eliza's approach entirely. In the darkest moment, when even Gabriel began to doubt, Eliza disappeared for 3 days. No calls, no messages, she simply vanished, leaving everyone to assume she'd abandoned them when things got difficult. On the morning of the 4th day, she walked into Gabriel's office, exhausted but triumphant. She hadn't been running away, she'd been working non-stop in a makeshift lab she'd set up in her apartment, refusing to leave until she'd solved the scaling problem. "I couldn't face you or anyone else until I had the answer," she explained, spreading her new calculations across his desk. The solution was even more elegant than her first, addressing not just the immediate crisis but anticipating challenges they would have faced months down the line. That night, after the engineering team confirmed her solution would work, Gabriel found Eliza alone on the company rooftop, watching the city lights. "You could have told me where you were," he said quietly. "I thought I'd lost you. I needed to prove, to myself more than anyone, that the first time wasn't luck," she admitted. "That I belong here, with or without your belief in me." Gabriel took her hand then, his usual confidence replaced by vulnerability. "Eliza, you belong here more than anyone. And my belief in you has never wavered, not for a second." The kiss they shared under the night sky sealed something that had been building since that first day in the interview room. A partnership of equals, bound by mutual respect and deepening love. Their personal relationship remained private for months, both of them determined to establish Eliza's legacy based on her work alone. When they finally went public, it was after quantum dynamics had secured its place as an industry leader and Eliza had been recognized with the National Medal of Technology and Innovation, the first person without an advanced degree to receive the honor in 15 years. At the ceremony, surrounded by the scientific elite who had once considered her unworthy of attention, Eliza gave a speech that would be quoted in graduation ceremonies for years to come. "Innovation doesn't care about your credentials. It doesn't ask where you studied or who you know. It only asks if you have the courage to see what others miss and the persistence to prove what others doubt." The greatest breakthroughs often come from those who weren't invited to the table but built their own chair anyway. The story of how they fell in love became as legendary as the technology they created together. Gabriel, known for his ruthless business acumen, found himself transformed by Eliza's approach to both problems and people. She taught him that compassion wasn't a weakness but a different kind of strength. In turn, he helped her navigate the complex world of corporate politics, protecting her vision while teaching her how to advocate for herself in rooms designed to intimidate. What truly cemented Eliza's legacy at Quantum Dynamics came 18 months after her hiring, when a devastating earthquake hit a remote region in Southeast Asia. The local power infrastructure was destroyed, leaving hospitals without electricity and relief efforts crippled. While other companies offered standard solutions that would take weeks to implement, Eliza proposed something radical. A modified version of their energy storage system that could be airlifted into the disaster zone and operational within hours. "It's too risky," the board argued. "We haven't tested the technology in these conditions." But Eliza stood firm, her usually quiet demeanor replaced by fierce determination. "People are dying while we debate. We have the ability to help, we have the responsibility to try." Her passion swayed the room, and within 48 hours, Quantum Dynamics had deployed 5 emergency units to the region. Gabriel accompanied Eliza to oversee the installation, both of them working alongside relief workers in the mud and rain. When the first unit came online, powering a field hospital that had been performing surgeries by flashlight, Eliza witnessed firsthand the real-world impact of her work. A doctor with exhausted eyes had grasped her hand and whispered, "You just saved more lives than I can count." That night, in a makeshift tent amid the devastation, Gabriel found Eliza quietly weeping, not from sadness but from the overwhelming realization that her equations on paper had translated into beating hearts and breathing lungs. Their experience in the disaster zone transformed both of them. Upon returning to corporate headquarters, they established the Quantum Humanitarian Division, dedicated to adapting their technology for crisis response worldwide. The initiative wasn't profitable in traditional terms, but it became the soul of the company, attracting talent who wanted to work not just for success but for purpose. This new direction wasn't without opposition. A faction of the board, led by the same HR director who had initially rejected Eliza, argued that the humanitarian focus was distracting from their core business. The conflict came to a head during a tense board meeting where the director presented a motion to dissolve the new division and refocus exclusively on commercial applications. "Ms. Chen's emotional attachment to these projects is admirable," she said with thinly veiled condescension, "but sentiment has no place in business decisions. We're not a charity. The boardroom fell silent, all eyes turning to Eliza. Everyone expected Gabriel to defend her, but he remained quiet, giving her the space to fight her own battle. Eliza stood slowly, her voice steady as she addressed the room. 3 years ago, I would have agreed with you, she began. I believed success was measured solely by profit margins and market share. But standing in that field hospital, watching our technology save lives that would have been lost, I realized something fundamental about innovation. She paused, making eye contact with each board member. The greatest technological advancements in history have never been about making money, they've been about solving problems that matter. And yes, profit follows, but it follows purpose, not the other way around. She then presented data showing how the humanitarian division had actually accelerated their commercial development, with innovations born from crisis response leading to breakthroughs in their consumer products. By solving the hardest problems in the most challenging environments, we're becoming better at everything we do, she concluded. This isn't charity, it's the most advanced R&D lab we could possibly create. The motion to dissolve the division was defeated unanimously, and the HR director resigned the following week. In her place, Eliza recommended promoting Sophia Nguyen, a brilliant operations manager who had been overlooked for advancement despite her exceptional performance. Let's not make the same mistake with her that was almost made with me, Eliza told Gabriel. Her ability to recognize overlooked talent became as valuable to the company as her technical brilliance. Their personal relationship deepened through these challenges. On the anniversary of her first day at Quantum Dynamics, Gabriel took Eliza back to the interview room where they had first met. He had recreated the scene exactly, the same chairs, the same sterile atmosphere, but with one addition, a small velvet box on the table. This room represents the best decision I ever made, he told her, recognizing what everyone else missed. But it also represents how close we came to never finding each other. He opened the box to reveal a ring with a design inspired by her original equation, the one that had saved the company. Some equations change companies. Some change industries. But you changed me, and that's the most improbable solution of all. Their wedding 6 months later was an unconventional affair, held in the company's main research lab with employees from every level in attendance. Dar Wei, once Eliza's harshest critic, served as Gabriel's best man, while Eliza's mother, now recovered thanks to treatments her daughter could finally afford, beamed with pride from the front row. Instead of traditional vows, they exchanged promises written in the language they both understood best, mathematical expressions of commitment, growth, and infinite possibility. The media coverage of their marriage brought renewed attention to Eliza's story, inspiring a nationwide conversation about hidden talent and unconscious bias in hiring practices. Major tech companies began reviewing their recruitment procedures, and several instituted Eliza protocols, blind evaluation processes designed to focus on problem-solving ability rather than credentials. 5 years after that fateful interview, Quantum Dynamics had grown from a struggling startup to a global leader in sustainable energy, with offices on 4 continents and technology deployed in over 60 countries. Eliza and Gabriel worked as true partners, her visionary approach balancing his strategic mind. They complemented each other perfectly, challenging and supporting in equal measure. Their greatest collaboration, however, had nothing to do with business. The birth of their daughter, Sophia, named after the operations manager Eliza had championed, brought a new dimension to their lives. Eliza, who had spent years solving complex technical problems, found herself humbled by the beautiful complexity of parenthood. Gabriel, known for his decisive leadership, discovered that some challenges couldn't be solved with authority but required patience and gentle guidance. They raised Sophia in the lab as much as at home, determined that she would grow up understanding both the power of innovation and its purpose. By her 5th birthday, she was already showing signs of her parents' brilliance, but with a compassionate wisdom that was entirely her own. She got the best of both of us, Gabriel often remarked, and something more that's uniquely hers. The true measure of their impact became clear when Quantum Dynamics launched its education initiative, providing advanced STEM education to underserved communities worldwide. The program specifically sought out students from non-traditional backgrounds, those who, like Eliza, might have extraordinary potential hidden behind ordinary circumstances. At the opening of the first Quantum Learning Center in her old neighborhood, Eliza addressed a room full of young students, many from backgrounds similar to her own. "The world is full of problems waiting to be solved," she told them, "and the solutions will come from minds that see differently, from people who have been told no but refuse to listen. Your unique perspective isn't a disadvantage, it's your greatest strength." As she spoke, Gabriel watched from the back of the room, their daughter on his shoulders. He saw in Eliza not just the brilliant mind that had saved his company or the woman he loved, but a force for transformation that extended far beyond either of them. The equation that had brought them together had indeed changed everything, not just energy storage technology, but lives, communities, and possibilities for generations to come.